business, social business.
For those of you who I didn't see yesterday, just reintroduce myself. My name is Fruit Sheikh. Born and raised in Kenya, fifth generation. Born in Eldoret, so there's two of us at least here. I moved to the U.S. in 1998 or 1999 actually. After growing up in Kenya, I went to school in the UK, did my undergrad at the London School of Economics, did my master's in property valuation and law, and I went back to Kenya after that, worked for Citibank for a few years, started a business, built the business, was financially very successful, but as I said yesterday, I wasn't really enjoying it because I felt like I was ripping off the country by doing business the customary way of magendo, and more magendo. So I came to the U.S. and I set up shop here, and I've been here for 15 years. I own a real estate investment and development company, and we do real estate developments in New Jersey, overlooking Manhattan, and in Connecticut. A few years ago, I decided that it's time for me to give back and start getting involved in what was going on in Kenya and contribute to I saw the word poverty reduction somewhere. I think it's more about poverty alleviation. We need to eradicate poverty and uplift the whole society. And so my way of doing this and getting involved was really to continue something I'm doing in the States. As a hobby here, I was investing in small businesses, friends and family, and I started doing this back in Kenya. Not with friends and family, but just looking and sourcing out entrepreneurs who had good businesses that needed growth capital and needed cash to grow their business and also needed skills. And so, I got involved, and from there I started mentoring other entrepreneurs, and it's been a very, very rewarding experience. And I'm really here to encourage you to get involved in the same thing. You guys live in the States. One of the biggest problems we have in Kenya is that Kenyans themselves don't understand this concept of stocks and shares and owning pieces of company and equity investments, whereas in the US, you're exposed to it. Somebody wants to start a company in New York or in LA or in Idaho, they put together a business plan, they go to some seed capital or angel investors, and next thing you know, they've got $500,000 going. In Nairobi or Mombasa or in Nakuru, it's very hard for anybody to do this. The only people actually doing it are foreigners. The only people investing in these Kenyan entrepreneurs are foreigners. And they're coming in with their terms and conditions, which are frankly not the best for our society. There's nothing wrong with it, and we're very grateful. I'm very grateful that they're doing it, because without them, we'd be 10 years behind. But it's really important that we encourage, or that we get involved, you get involved in investing in Kenyan entrepreneurs, because that's what's going to create jobs. That's what's going to uplift the society. By creating jobs, people have incomes, they send their kids to school. And by you doing it, then hopefully your brothers, your cousins, your sisters, your families back in Kenya, they also get involved in investing in entrepreneurship and investing in the growth of the country. As we all know, the bulk of society is job creation, and this is really, really critical. And so one of the reasons, or one of the things that we found in our research is that, like I said earlier, many Kenyans don't really see this as a good investment. They want to invest in real estate. So one of the things that I got involved with as well recently is a Shark Tank-like television show called Boiler Room. And there's another one starting on another television channel soon as well, so there's two shows. And again, the main purpose of this is not for me to go and make a lot of money, but really to expose and encourage other people to invest in these kind of opportunities and invest in Kenya. One of the things I missed on yesterday that I just want to encourage you all to do, reminding myself as well as Diaspora, is that we are passionate about Kenya, and when we land and we touch the dirt, we feel something in our hearts. But our kids, it's a little harder for them. And I'm here, I'm seeing nods here. And one of the things I did 2 years ago is I took my children, my oldest was 12 at the time, or 11, so 11, 10, 6, and 1. And I took them to Kenya, and we rather than go for a 2-week trip, we went for 7 weeks. I let them stay with different family members, we traveled around, I let them go and they got involved in volunteering in a couple of schools. And, you know, my kids saw Kenya and from a completely different perspective, because me telling them about Kenya at home in New York is very different from them actually living it. Not only that, frankly, I think kids growing up in the West are very comfortable. They turn on the tap, water comes on. They turn on the light, they flip the switch, the lights come on. So when you get them out of their zone, they really actually start appreciating life in a different perspective. So 2 years later, I'll tell you that the plates at home after dinner are completely clean. There's no more wasted food in the house, which is, for me, a big change in what I see my kids doing. My daughter came back and she actually collected 2,500 books and shipped them to Nairobi. She's 12 years old, so she's helped somebody open 4 libraries. And so this is how we need to keep them engaged, so that, like the lady said earlier on, this is the future of Kenya. Our children getting involved, going back and being involved in stuff like that. So with that said, you know, again, I'm not here pitching anything on my own. I have a real estate investment company in New Jersey. Well, very comfortable, thank God. I just want to encourage you to invest not only in real estate. I think Jonathan's doing a great job, and the gentleman who spoke yesterday, Mr. Oshiro, selling plots, and we should invest in real estate because that is its own asset class. But we should also invest in entrepreneurs in Kenya in a very systematic way. I'm not saying just write them a check. You know, look at their business plans, ask questions. You know, if they want $100,000 but they need 20,000 now, give them the 20 now, let them perform, let them meet their hurdles, give them the next 20, etc., etc. And the other very critical thing, other than your dollars, is your skills. There's a big shortage of skills on continent. There's a lot of passion, a lot of drive, but a lot of the entrepreneurs lack the skills to grow their businesses from this level to this level, in terms of accounting, governance issues, hiring the right people, etc., etc. So these are some of the things I touched on yesterday, and I just wanted to kind of remind you about them today. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Sorry, excuse me. Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Joseph. I just want to comment and thank you. That is a quality presentation for us. The thing that you alluded to about the lack of technical expertise, the complementary to that, corollary to that, is the access to this talent which is available, especially in Diaspora. So the challenge for us is that how do we develop mechanisms whereby we have a pool of these available expertise and they can be accessed by the needed communities in Kenya. That's the challenge that we are facing. So if you have problems that we share with that, that will help.
No, and I've been thinking about that as well. And as we saw, the doctors have gone back and made a few trips there. One of the things I think I'm going to try and do is work with a couple of Diaspora organizations to kind of put and create a couple of trips where Diaspora actually go back and we spend time at places like IHOP on Tong Road and various other institutes, so that we can give classes, working classes, practical lessons to entrepreneurs. And so I think that the best way to do this is really to do this, you know, to really harness the energy from here, organize the effort, and you take a group of people over and do that. Number one. Number two, I'm going to try and work with some of the incubators in Nairobi, and there are plenty of incubators, by the way, people like Synapis, started by a young lady out of Texas. Incubators like the Acumen Fund is got one, Unreasonable Institute is there, to try and see if we can start some kind of a matching program. Again, I think the Diaspora here, people like David are doing a phenomenal job in bringing us together. So now we need them to help us a little bit more and kind of connect. And so I think really one of the ways you can do this is if we can individually mentor individual entrepreneurs. And the Diaspora organizations are the ones to help channel this. So I'm going to try and put some time into this and make it happen. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks.
First of all, so thank you especially the Kahawa people. I mean, it takes coffee to keep academic minds true functioning mode. And my role is to actually mentor our young people so that I saw the $1 million houses that are being built out in Kenya. I want our young people to be able to follow their career trajectory so that they can buy them, they own them. And I said I'll be coming to hang out with them when they buy, because I don't think I'll personally ever buy it. And because I'm personally, my role in life is to really add value to others. When I add value to others, I'm happy. I can die poor. I don't really care about material things. And just a little bit about myself. I'm Esther Ngumbi, born and raised from Kwale, Kenya. I'm a hardcore scientist. When I'm not doing science, I'm passionate about many, many things. I mean, people always say, Esther, what is one thing I stand for so many things. But a little bit of my journey so that you don't know how, I was born and raised in a very small community in Kwale, Kenyan Coast, Matuga Girls, and then went to KU for my bachelor's degree, my master's degree in KU, then went to Israel, spent 2 years in Israel, and then finally I came to the US, got my PhD in 2011. I spent actually a year here in Georgia Tech in 2012. I spent a year here and then went back to Auburn, so I'm an Auburn girl. And I didn't even come with my Auburn fun. But as I said, and actually I'm challenged because we're talking about the young people and they're not here, of course. Thank you for reminding us that the next conference that we need to have our young people here, because they need to hear from the people who are doing the architect. They need to be here. They need to be hearing, because tomorrow they're the ones who are buying these houses. I'm sure it's not us buying this. And so they need to be here. I mean, we can't just be coming by ourselves and leaving them. I think the next conference that I don't want to speak to adults, I'll speak to the young people. So please bring them to me and I will work with them. And I'm sure there are so many other people that will want to do that. But for me, I'll just share a few things about leadership and what it will take to be a 21st century leader. And I am a mentor with Clinton Global University Initiative. I've worked with them since 2011. And I've worked with the MasterCard Foundation Scholars. So I'm a mentor with them. I've mentored for President Obama Young Leadership Fellows. So I'm a seasoned mentor. I work with students. I always say my Facebook, my Twitter, my social media is always in buzz with questions, and I'm there for them. I'm there for them because I know personally it took a lot of people to make me who I am, and I want to be there. And I want to be there for anybody that needs to use me, use me. I always say I need to be used. I will give, and if I can't have your answer for you, I'll reach within my networks. Believe me, I have a lot of network, and I will reach out and find out the answers for you. So one of the first things that I always tell my young people, the students, is like, have clear goals. Where is it you want to go? Do I want to be a scientist? Then, if you want to be a scientist, you have to set your action steps. Which road do I need to be taking so that I get to become that scientist? What other mentors do I need to bring along? If you want to be an engineer, you want to be a biologist, then start grooming your team that will get you there, that will help you get where you're going. So you can't want to be an engineer and start hanging out with business people. You'll never get to your engineering track. So try to find out who is it that you need to get you to where your journey is. So what networks do you need? If you're planning to be a businessman, if you're planning to be a real estate agent, you need to be in lordship after that. The people you need to hang out with, because they will clearly let you know what you need. Those are the people who've been doing that thing for 35 years. You need to hang out with them and learn from them. And then you also need to have your mentors. Believe you me, in the journey of life, you'll need mentors. So you need to identify them. And if you don't, ask your parents, ask the people that you interact with. And I believe we live in a country where if you reach out to somebody, they will help you. People will help you. Even ourselves, I've had this, we want to reach out to our people. We are all already mentors, so our young people have mentors already. The children who are here, the youth who are here, reach out to us, reach out to other people and find your mentors. Secondly, you have to start, you keep branding yourself. Everybody has a brand. Who are you? If they talk about me, I'm a scientist. I mean, I have the middle name as Science, Miss Science. So be known as that science, so people can tell who you are. Keep branding yourself. And that brand will move along with you for many, many, many years. I tell you, like I'm in academia, even I got married, but I can't even switch my name because I've built my brand. And I'm not letting it go. Then we have attitude. I always say to my young people, attitude is everything. How do you present yourself? How do people see you? If I talk with you, the first impressions really, really matter. And if I see you have an attitude, believe you me, attitude will never take you anywhere. I've never seen attitude taking people anywhere. So, have a good attitude. And always learn. Be inquisitive. Talk to people. Find out what it is how they can add value to your life. It is important, so keep branding yourself. Embrace failures. I didn't say that the journey was going to be really easy. It's never easy. Every day I fail and I'll keep failing. But you have to embrace failure and celebrate your successes. I know a lot of us never like to talk about successes. I mean, I was just sitting and we were talking, somebody was saying, just last week you were in the White House. You're not talking about it. I know we don't talk about it, but celebrate it. It's part of you. I mean, you did not get it there because you got there because of your own small steps that took you there. And I always say, Kenyans, we are talented. We are smart. I've gone to high-level meetings and I've seen Kenyans. So you better clap for yourselves. And be proud of who we are. I mean, as I say, Kenyans, you are just something special. You're a blessed nation and you're blessed people. So let's never forget that. So, okay, I know I write so much notes, and I say for the college students, scholarships, there are many scholarships out there. Start knowing what scholarships will I need. Google, ask. And I know a lot of scholarships take a lot of essays. Put a personal touch in your essays. A lot of us, everybody has a personal story. Actually, I know when we read essays, we actually are more attracted to the personal side rather than your credentials. Yes, credentials matter, but when you put that personal touch, when we realize what journey it has taken you to be where you are, and where are you going, that reader of your essay that's trying to give you this will give you that scholarship. So never ever just think credentials are the ones that matter. Credentials matter, yes, of course. But when we read, we look for other things. We look for many other things apart from credentials. So put to us your personal story. Be active in your own. Don't be just, and I say, I'm a very weird scientist. I normally say that because a lot of my peers are busy in the lab and they never get time to get a lot of things. Of course, I've gotten into trouble. I say the first time I went for a Clinton meeting, I was doing my PhD, and my professor actually was so mad at me. He called me in the lab and he made this fuss out of everybody, and I cried. I remember crying. But then I went to a Clinton meeting, and then the next time I came, I had a picture with me and President Clinton. I shared it to him. The next minute, he was sending the picture to the college and saying, look at my student. Look, she's hanging out with President Clinton. It was just like, okay. I mean, but realize that, yes, you have those kind of clashes, but you have to never ever let your passion run away from you. Believe you me, I can say academia has taken me, but my passion. And remember, it's going to be hard, but volunteer. Let your passion for the things you want to do run and show it and do what you want to do. Because at the end of the day, I say we also look for a very well-rounded person. You know, it's a world where it's not just one thing that will take you to that door. A lot of many other things. So I always encourage our young people be there. And I tell you, young people are doing it. My mentees with Clinton Global, they're amazing. I look at this 21-year-old, I'm like, what was I doing when I was 21 with my life? They are doing, I look at them and like, Wow. And that's what I hope our young Kenyans can be like that. And I said, I have students from Nepal, from everywhere across the world, they're there. But our young people are doing much. Be authentic. Be authentic. Remember, that's your brand. Authenticity is your brand. Don't be trying to be somebody else. Your brand, you never have to be like anybody else. You are your own unique you. And be you. And that one, because people will always appreciate who you are. Finally, do not give up soon. You know, I was here since yesterday, listening to people. Some people have had their dreams for 8 years. Remember the guy who talked about the stock exchange? What did he say? 8 years. He's still building it. You haven't got any drive, but you're still building it. 8 years. I always say, like, I have dreams that I've carried on for. Personally, I want to build a science and leadership in Kenya, and I'm working towards. I have a school right now. We have 103 students. I have a library. And I always, you know, do things. My story about the library is very crazy, and I'll share it just because I want you to know who I am. So I've always wanted to have a library where people can come and quenching their thirst for books. And so what I did, I collected books from Auburn University, and I was going to take them to Kenya. First of all, to just get the books there. So I collected the books. Crazy Kenya accent. People were like, some of them would just give me that look like, you're crazy. But I don't care about being called crazy, because for the love of what I do, you can call me crazy. Tell me what you want to do. At the end of the day, I know what I'm doing. It's not about me, it's about our young Kenyans. So I will end up here. Eventually, everybody took a book on my behalf, and I was the last person to board the plane. But today I have a $10,000 facility, library facility. We opened it last year, and it is there. So for our young people who say, I will wait until I have money, you start now. You'll never have that money that you think you'll have. And reach out to us. I believe all of us, the adults that are here, the professionals that are here, let us mentor. Let us reach out and pull another person. Do not ever shut those doors that helped you get in. Reach and carry 10 others. And I think I'm out of my time. And always have people who can attest to who you are. I always say that you're influencers. They're the people who will, even when you're not there, they'll be talking about you. They'll be saying, I know that young Kenyan girl. She is amazing. But you don't build that unless you have to keep branding yourself. You have to keep and walk the talk. I don't like to hang with people who don't do what they say. Walk the talk. Thank you. I'm done.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. That we need a few crazy people. That's what Steve Jobs said in building Apple computers, is it not? I know we're getting hungry. I know we need a break. But before we take a break.
Nice to meet you guys. Was not here yesterday, I'm sorry. I'm told I missed a lot. I'm trying to catch up with that. I want to drink a lot of coffee. I want to thank the speakers before me. I wish I could say something better than they did. Someone told me that it's a trick to that. Line up, everybody slap them, they never forget for the rest of their lives. Terrible speaking was. I'm here to speak on behalf of KESA. KESA stands for the Kenya Scholars and Studies Association. It's an association based in Ohio, founded by 4 scholars, Kepo Tiso, Maurice Ontabi, Francis Cotti, and myself, way back 9 years ago. And we organize this forum for scholars that is really intended to advance studies and research interest in Kenya. We run a number of things, but among the highlights of the year are normally conferences. We ran a conference here in the US and one in Kenya. In fact, the Kenyan conference ended yesterday at the Multimedia University, where 14 countries were represented. So we do that, but in addition to organizing this, we also run a journal for published research that people have done. We also print books or really
publish books from what our contributors bring to the conference. And more than that, we also work as mentors to young Kenyan scholars. Now, talking about mentors, based on what the previous speaker said, that's where we also try to add value. There are a lot of young Kenyans who come to the US especially and get lost in between. And I don't want to bore you with the stories on how there's a lot of money in the US. Just go there and pay your school fees. You know, it doesn't work like that, you all know that. So we're here to do that. And so my question here for you, maybe for you, to me is, so what do you want me to do? What I want you to do is, if you can be our sponsor. There are a lot of spending that goes into this, and especially in promoting the young graduate students and undergraduate students. Mr. Kulondu knows this very well. SAP has been very effective with us. He's worked with us all the years. They've done a great job. But more than that, we have students who attend these conferences, and sometimes they don't have the funds to really pay for what it takes to be in a professional scholarly conference. So if you want to really, if you really love your country, here's your chance. Attach it to a young scholar, and the scholar will never forget you. They might probably be able to buy those houses one day, and you'll be happy that you're part of it. So that's what it is. Finally, I want to say here that this conference that we run is not only meant for professors, it's for everybody, tenured, non-tenured, business people. Come and present, showcase your work that relates to Kenya. So you're all welcome. Our conference this year, which I'm leading in terms of organizing, will be here in Atlanta. It will be in the Marriott Marquis downtown. It's going to run from September 8th to September 10th. Ideally, the functional days are 9th and 10th. That's Friday and Saturday. So if you want to go to our website, and it looks like the system you know to work, is kessa.org, KESSA.org, and you can get the information on what it is we do. Beyond that, I'm going to ask, and again, thank you the organizers for this wonderful event. I have some flyers, and I'm going to leave a few leaves on the tables around. If you're keen on this, please join us. There are a few faces here that I know. Met Jen, a couple of people here. David has been to our conference. So it's a great event. I'm sure those who've been there will attest to this. Otherwise, my name is Gichana. I'm the treasurer, and the website of our site manager. If you go there, you'll see that that's what we're trying to do. So bring it up, bring it on, let's work together. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dr. Charles. The diaspora of yesterday that we know from our forefathers had its own challenges. We have inherited some of those challenges. As we live today for the next generation, how our children, our grandchildren, going to see this day today, as we look at yesterday today, for tomorrow, bridging the gaps. They may not be large, they may be economic, they may be political. In my case, I'm talking about disabilities, I'll do that later on. But in all these issues that have already been mentioned as we sow the seeds, how do we move on from where we are? Either 2 steps back, 1 step forward, so that we are able first and foremost to become friends, share a table. Because once we become friends, there is no issue we cannot address.
I'm Jambo Tena. Good, thank you so much. Thank you for being so patient this afternoon, since yesterday actually. So mine is really brief. I'm going to try to make it brief anyway. But let me just start by way of introductions for those of you that I didn't get to meet yesterday or didn't get to talk to yesterday. My name is David Ochwangi, just like you heard. My focus is primarily going to be about diaspora voting and representation. You know, you guys, as you know, this has been an issue that we've talked about for so long. Since the passing of the last Constitution, even before that, we'd actually been pushing this thing. And the premise of that being that we not only, you know, excuse that, I thought I did a better job of that, but I'm turning it on. But, you know, diaspora voting is actually guaranteed in our Constitution. You know, and we push for it, and thank God they put it in there in, you know, Title 82 that says that Parliament should provide for diaspora voting. That was way in 2010, but like I said before then, we've been asking for it. It just didn't happen yet. So, and part of it, how many, I mean, we all send money home. We send about $2 billion, I think, by the last count, that we send, and that money is actually taxed by the government. If we just take VAT itself, Kenya's VAT rate right now is I think 16%. Meaning every time somebody's buying an item for every dollar they spend, 16% of it is going to the exchequer. So which is a good thing. But we're saying if you're going to tax us, well then we need to have some say-so in how our money is being spent. So what are some of the, okay, and we've said, that has been the case from a long time ago. How do we then actually make this happen? Do we make it happen through our embassy? You know, how do we push this issue through the IBC, through the government itself? And as you all know, our forefathers, and I keep saying this, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, the Gingo Dingas, and all those other old men during their time, they were able to do so much then with so little, let's just put it that way. They didn't have the computers, they didn't have the internet, they literally didn't have money, they didn't have a lot of money, but they were able to get a lot done, so much so to lay the foundation upon which our country is based today. So, we are at a point now that we can improve on that, and the only way that we know how to improve on that is through participation. Would you all agree? I mean, how then do you participate? We already participate mightily, economically as it is. Socially, I think we do. But then when we send the money and all of these other things that we send home, we don't really have any say on how it's done. And if we can get to vote, I think that dynamic will change a whole lot. So what are some of the handicaps that we face? Well, this one, it's self-explanatory. We're just saying there's a lot of countries that are already voting as it is, that are in the United States, for example. They have, most jurisdictions, actually all of the United States, they have absentee balloting, for example. They send out a ballot to their people, to citizens. They say, hey, fill this thing out, and it's a very simple process. What they do is sometimes when you're getting your ID in Georgia, I know that, there's a small little section of it that says, do you want to register to vote? And all you have to do is check that and say, yes, I want to register to vote. It's really simple. During election time, you got to send your ballot in maybe sometimes 2 weeks in advance. The only reason for that is just that it'll be there by the time of voting, so everybody, it can be counted. That's really the only reason they do that. But there's no issue on whether you can vote or not. So, what are some of the challenges that we face? This is my opinion. I think it speaks to a lot of, what most of you would agree with. And that is, there's really no political will whatsoever. We've seen these politicians come over here during election time. Sometimes they use the opportunity to really talk a good game. They've got a nice written manifesto on how things are supposed to be, what they promise the world. They promise they're going to do a whole lot of things. In some cases, we chip in and we sponsor their candidacies. But once they get voted in, then literally comes the end of that. Nothing happens after that. So, do they spend money? They don't spend any money or allocate any resources to facilitate that process itself. And it frustrates a lot of us. It frustrates me personally. So this is something I've taken on my own, so much so that sometimes I scream. There's a wonderful Shira's right here, she'll probably tell you, hey, tone it down some. And the reason that is, and I'm glad, it's being noticed, because we've always said things the nicest way we can. Kenyans, sisi watu wa karimu, hatuna shida na watu, only until you get to a point where you're so frustrated, you run out of options, you just want to either pull your own hair or scream at somebody. But I think, and it's fair to say, there's several in my shoes that have championed that cause now, that I've actually taken it to speak to the authority and tell them, you cannot take us for granted for too long. Time has come now that we got to sit down around the table and kind of figure out how to get this thing done. We have with the IBC, for example, as you guys know, they took us to, there is a clause that they call the progressive clause in the Constitution that says it will be done over time. So over time means you can start the process. That just don't mean you sit there and wait for years and years. Every time we ask, hey man, what's cooking? Oh, it'll be done over time. No, we want to see some progress. So we went to court, not me, but the Diaspora. There's an organization out there called KDA. We took the IBC to court, they litigated the matter, and Judge Lenola told them, hey, you got to give these people an opportunity to vote. That was 4 or 5 years ago. Actually, yeah, almost a little over 5 years ago, because it was right before the last election. They said, make sure by next election time, you guys are ready, you got your ducks in a row. That has not happened. So we've been in court so many times that to a point where they're literally running the clock. How many of you know what's going on with the IBC right now in Kenya as a subset of the national politics? The riots. Of course, all of you know what's going on. We just gone through so many riots. I think by my last count, there's been 3 deaths. That can be attributed to the IBC issue because they're deemed incompetent or corrupt. There are other political issues going on there, but that's really the least of our concern. We're just saying, as a diaspora, we want a chair at the table. Elizabeth Warren says, if you're not on that table, helping make those decisions that affect you, guess what? You're probably on the menu. They're talking about to rip you off. And there's no better example of that than the Diaspora, because to us, I think sometimes we're the golden goose. It's like, I can imagine right now where the president wakes up in the morning and says to our teach, hey, could you check on that golden goose? How many eggs came in yesterday from those? I'm being facetious, but I'm using that to, I guess, drive the point home that we can't just be the golden goose. We need a say so at the table. So that said, a lot of the decisions that are being made about the diaspora, and this goes across the board on just about anything that has to do with the diaspora. These decisions are literally made in Nairobi, and we find out about them after they've been made. And I can go down a litany of things that have happened or that have been decided in Nairobi. One of which was the most recently passed, no, actually the president officiated that was the diaspora policy. And I gotta be careful what I say here because I don't want to get in trouble. But what happened, they sent us a diaspora policy, like a draft, and said, you guys comment on it, see, does this work for you? But the document itself had actually been discussed, and it's about 20, the last I checked, the content itself is about 22 pages long, which talks about everything else but the policy. What a policy is, for those of you, I forgot to mention, I'm also a college professor, but I know a thing or two about a policy. For example, if a student is late, you can say the policy of lateness or tardiness, you miss 5 points. If you miss 3 sessions, we're going to kick you out of the class. But what I'm trying to say is that a policy has elements of a policy. Who does what? When is it triggered? What do you do when this happens? Why does it happen that way? Just so that you have everything in place. So that if I'm applying a policy, I'm just going to go down the list. This is the checklist, this is what it is, and these are the consequences of what just happened. But what the government did, what they sent us, they gave us kind of a framework of what they think the problem is. An overview of things that needs to happen. But it didn't specify issues, for example, voting. It didn't specify things, for example, when our folks get arrested or when they pass away. You know, those are things, as a taxpayer, what the United States does, if there's people in issue problems in other countries, they actually have a way who to contact, how do we handle such issues. A good example of a policy that the president passed the other day was the vehicle importation from people from the United States mainly. Because we live in a country that drives on the left, the president said, hey, we understand your pain, what we're going to do. Going forward, you'll be able to actually bring in a car. Don't worry about bringing the car from the United States because we don't accept those in the country anymore. You can go elsewhere and buy a car from another country and bring it in. We won't tax you on that. Well and good. We clapped. We were so happy. The president gets back in Nairobi. The next thing you know, his treasury, the Rotich says, yeah, that's fine, you can do that, but so long as you meet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of this criteria, then that's the only time the president's criteria is going to be applicable. So in effect, it literally reversed that policy. So, you know, these are the issues that we got to work around. How do we actually know that what the government says actually happens? So that's one example. The other example is that they decided that they were going to bring honorary consuls to the United States and elsewhere, I guess. I think they were going to start in the United States. I don't know who among you asked for an honorary consul. You know, I didn't ask for it. I don't need it. We've got an embassy in Washington, D.C. right now as we sit here that has, those of us in finance or accounting, called excess capacity. In other words, no offense to them, but the service we get today from our embassy is not what we used to get, let's say 5, 10 years, 8 years ago. You call them, they tell you, go look, yeah, it's online. You find it online. It's like, listen, I know it's online. I mean, you know, I know. That's why I'm calling you, because customer service. But the point I'm driving is that, you know, they success capacity. Then they decided we need honorary consuls. That was years ago. Nothing happened. Thank God for that. But these are just some of the examples of the disconnect between ourselves and our own government. A government that we help support. So we need to change that. How do we change that? Number one, this is a good starting point. Like I said yesterday, like most of our teams have said, this is the baseline of a lot of the things that are going to be happening next year, you know, from now on through next year, this voting cycle coming up next year. We've purposely set up the next Diaspora conference next May, around Memorial time, just so that we can hopefully get attention from our government and say, we need to partner with you. Don't dictate to us what you think we want. You know, don't tell us what's good for us. You know, we'll tell you, trust me, we know, you know. But from my standpoint, and I'm getting this from some of my friends here that we've talked about, how do we turn this around? The president has said we'll probably, you know, we'll vote next year. He said that in Belgium. He's actually said that 2 or 3 times so far. Then I got to talk to Isaac Hassan, who is the IBC chairman. He's actually a friend. I like the guy. A good friend of mine. But then I also tell him, hey, buddy, you're not helping your case because we're coming after you. Because listen, we've been telling you to help us vote. Now it's hard to protect or say anything good about you when you're not helping us vote. This is your job. Don't be derelict in your job. You know, we call it dereliction of duty. You're supposed to do something, you don't do it, you're failing in that duty. But from the last count, they got 129 million, he told me, I think that was a month ago. The Kenya's budget just got read I think it's yet to be approved, we'll find out. But if it gets approved, then we should be able to actually vote. They've said they have no resources. So what I did on my part is to say, we'll try and raise the funds that we need to register our own folks here and tell them, hey, we're not asking for anything as potential voters that those folks in Kenya are not asking for. Just set up your BVR up here, tell us, we can find the locations to put them at, and send out somebody that can actually take the data, write it down. I've got my passport, you can take it, this is a national ID. One other hindrance they put there, they said, well, you have to have a national ID. When Isaac was here the last time, we said, for all intents and purposes, a passport is actually far superior to a national ID because you would need an ID to even get a passport. So by definition, that's an ID, a government issued ID. So they acquiesced to that. So all we need is a passport, and I want you guys to be clear about that, at least from what they told us. If you have a passport and you can identify yourself, then you should be able to register to vote. So I put this in the context that in the next several weeks, once this noise of all these protests going against the IBC die down, we're hoping that we will convince the IBC to literally start bringing in their BVRs, machines, whatever equipment they need to start registering us so that we can vote in the next election. The qualifier from my Saka-san is that you need the threshold they put, I think it was 3,000. We said, okay, come here, we'll show you where the 3,000 Kenyans are. But that's per country, so in America I don't think we're going to run into that issue at all. But the problem is that they have to do mapping. So they tried to set up a portal. I don't know how many of you are going to see what the portal is. The portal is not working. So we don't know what is waiting, but I'm just giving you a sense of what that is. And the reason I'm going into length to explain this is just, I think in a little bit I'll introduce some of the folks that are here to observe what we're talking about. Just hopefully we get to hear their sense of where we stand. So in conclusion, what I'm thinking, the other piece that I think I didn't get to finish actually, so this is voting, but how about representation? What we've asked for and what we'll keep pressing for is that we need an actual representation in government, all levels of government. One guy, from what we know, maybe they have their own structures there, but there's only one director, Onyango Law, that we know is responsible for the diaspora. But you're talking about a $2 billion portfolio. If you were, those guys that, in Wall Street, if you manage a $2 billion portfolio of a lot of customers, trust me, you would have more than one manager managing that portfolio. So there's way underrepresentation in that. We're going to be suggesting to the president and his team and the government and everybody else that we need, we really should have a full ministerial or cabinet level ministry that caters to the diaspora. Because there's a lot of potential here. How do we tap into it? One guy's not going to do it. So let's get that set up, and then we can collaborate with us here. We can form a secretariat, a diaspora secretariat that then collaborates with the ministry and make all these things happen. So with that said, hey, I said the best for last, and I'm probably running out of time. But what we're going to be doing from now forward, we're going to start literally what I call a movement. It's a diaspora movement. We're not out to start a revolution yet. Hopefully we don't get to that point. But if we have to, we're going to be laying out the foundation. Not to overthrow any government or anything, but to say, hey, we're here too. You got to pay attention to us. We're here. So I'm inviting you. We're right now working on what we call a portal, a diaspora movement portal. Actually, where's the picture of this? I forgot to put a picture. I thought I did. But if you check this thing here, the picture didn't get there. But it's gonna, you know, we need to be a little more assertive with our government. So I'm thinking that somebody gotta take the lead in this, whether it's me, you, or whoever it is. You know, so we already started a little portal here. It's not complete. If you go into it, don't laugh yet, because we got our technical guys looking at it. But if you can, you know, check it out. We're gonna have a registration form there. But it's our way of saying, listen, you know, we gotta stand up, speak up, otherwise nobody's gonna hear us. And that's, you know, that's what we're gonna do. So with that saying, the next couple of minutes, I'm so humbled, along with our teams here today, that we'd asked the government to be represented here. We had asked everybody, all the way from the president down, to say, hey, come on up, you know, see what really makes us tick. And so today, actually yesterday, I found out that the representatives from all the way at the top, from the office of the president itself. And I want to take this moment to invite, oh, yeah, I can still see them. Okay, Lydia, Ada, and Stella, could you please come and say hello to our guests, and maybe you can say a word or two. Thank you so much. And as they're walking, I think what they're going to do, we didn't prep them, so we don't know what they're going to say. Hopefully they say, oh yeah, what you say, granted, you know, that's what they say. But at least they'll give us introduction and tell us what they do and who they work for. And maybe we'll get to hear a thing or two from another director.
Hi everyone. Habari zenu. Si mmekula lunch? Sasa mbona hamna sauti? Hi everyone. Oh, if you hear me right, I have been here for a few hours. Okay? So I have some bit of American swag. Hours long now. Well, nice to be here. My name is Lydia Mukaya, and I'm a lawyer by profession, and I work for the Office of the President in the, what we call a Directorate of Political Affairs.
Hello. I'm Stella Mogeni. We work together, political affairs. Hello. I'm Edja Boyani. I'm a medical doctor, and we all work together. It is very nice to be here. We're very humbled to have gotten the invitation. We'll be looking to work together. Thank you.
Guys, before we let them go, anybody want to say anything that, okay, I knew that was coming. I don't want to get in trouble after they leave. You need to ask. Okay, Tim, please.
Number one.
Do you want to come up here?
Please.
We don't need to put you on the spot, but while we got this, we'll take the liberty.
Well, thank you so much, first of all, for coming here, and also for David and the group for this very good forum. My thing is, and I like the presentation you did.
What's your name?
Oh, my name is Yakitamusha Kenya Maapa. No, that's another drama. My name is Timothy Ndegwa, Kamunya Ndegwa from Kingoria. It's a very beautiful city in Kenya. The real our tunaza mashamba jaza kuzo iko Kenya, Kingoria. But I like the presentation, but I have one concern. Several concerns, but number one, it's niyo ya ID. Mkenda mwambie Uhuru, tuko na embassy hapa, lakini iko Washington. Hawajakuja hapa Atlanta.
By the way,
They go everywhere else. And you can record this. No, I miss you, Bobby. Atlanta hawajakuja. They are here to serve us. Hawajakuja. Tunaenda DC kupatiwa ID ya Kenya. We cannot vote. I know you're talking about the passport. They still want us to do the new generation ID. We do that thing, but they have not come here to do that. We invited them several times with His Excellency Ochwangi. Now, that's just a slight concern. But mwambie Uhuru akuje Atlanta. There are Kenyans in Atlanta. We need to just You know, funny enough, when he came last time, 2 times, I offered, lakini hakufikiwa na information. Nilimwambia nitatupa nini, nitalipa transportation. For real, I'm serious. Because when I go to Texas, Seattle, and Atlanta, we have everything you need. Delta, kwanza Delta wako hapa. Mkitaka kuja Kenya, mkuja hapa, muongee nao. Coca-Cola tuko hapa. Matinduka Kenya, sivyo kila kitu iko hapa. But tupatue ID na Abasinda na Uhuru, msaidie Uhuru, mwambie aendelee hivyo hivyo. Mungu awabariki. He's doing good for Kenya. We are proud of our country. Now, I'll tell one more thing before I sit down about the ID. The reason I'm talking about the ID. We want to invest with all these guys that are coming, Kina Lordship. We want to invest with them and all that stuff. We cannot get a P number because we have what? The colonial ID. So I keep talking about ID, connection here. Now, mwambie mzalisho wa kuja hapa George. Asante sana. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Tim. I think in the interest of time, unless there's anybody else, Bishop Mawaz. Really, that and maybe one more, then we'll let this. This are lawyers, and doctors. You'll sing it all.
I'm sure you're writing for us. I'm sure. You're writing for us? Huh? You're writing it for us?
I just want to make sure, the message gets home.
Karibuni, Atlanta, America. I'm Bishop Mawasi, Donald Mawasi, and I have a concern for Kenyans. Maybe they have not mentioned, but we are Kenyan citizens, and we have dual citizenship in Kenya. And by my understanding, when we have dual citizenship, you have the rights in America, and you have the full rights in Kenya.
Yes.
Isn't that so?
Yes.
That is dual citizenship.
Yes.
So, to my surprise, I was running for an office 2013. As a matter of fact, I was in one of the meetings for the president in Taita Taveta. And, but I had been disqualified by IBC for the fact that I am dual citizen. And I think you knew about that. They disqualified all the diasporas. In fact, there were so many. But I decided, because I believed in my right, I decided to go to court. So I went to court, to the High Court, and also in the High Court, the judge disqualified. He said, we have entrusted IBC to conduct elections, so whatever they say is right. I disapproved him, because he's a judge, he's supposed to interpret the Constitution. So I took my case again to the Court of Appeal. But they delayed so much until 2014 is when they decided. And so they decided in June that I was right, I should have run. But even though I was now qualified now to run, they still had stipulation that you can run and win, but you cannot become a senator or an MP, because there is a clause there. So I've been trying to argue myself. In fact, I went to a lawyer, and of course the lawyer, defended me. But to my right, my understanding, because I've also done research here, so I understand there is a clause there that says a dual citizen cannot become a public officer. And there, actually there is a clause in 15 that says a citizen by birth. A citizen by birth, if I can quote it right, a citizen by birth cannot be denied citizenship by acquiring a citizenship of another country. A citizen by birth. So, if a citizen by birth, I am qualified, or I'm a citizen in Kenya and I'm a citizen in America, so why should there other be clauses that are going to hinder you? You've been elected, but you cannot hold office. So, I'm just saying for diasporas as a whole. And the other day when the president was in Brussels, I said that Kenyans can vie for positions in Kenya. But I think he has not gone to the details of the constitution. So please, can you pass this message that we need also to be allowed as citizens of Kenya. I was born in Kenya, raised in Kenya. I just came to America to go to school. And so the fact that I'm a citizen here and I'm a citizen in Kenya, I should have my rights. Why should I have rights here? Here I can run for an office of a governor. I can run for an office of a senator. The only office I cannot run for is the office of the president. But I can run for all these offices. So why am I stopped from running for an office of a member of parliament or a senator or a governor? So this is what I'm trying to say to you. Tell the president, Bishop from Atlanta, Donald Mowasi, ran for an office and he was disqualified, but went to court and rectified, but it is not rectified all the way. Thank you.
All right, I think at this point, to be fair to everybody else, we're running short on time. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff. Hopefully, you got a flavor of it, And the only thing I wanted to add to that is that they've also said that we have to, I think as it says now, like we have to travel. If we ever get to vote, we still have to travel to the embassies, wherever they are to vote. I don't know if you've been to our embassies in Washington, D.C. They're really a tiny little place. If Kenyans, the way I know them, if we decided to go that place, the lines would be, it won't be so. It's so initial logistics. We can set up any stations here to vote. But with that said, I want to thank you so much for being part of this. We're now official, as y'all can see. Thank you so much, and we'll get time to talk about this again.
May I say, this was one of the speeches which we said is one of the keynote speeches for policymakers. I must congratulate David for making it very diplomatic, putting in the meat without breaking the legs. Thank you very much. Number two, I must thank members from the office of the President who have come today. I've been moderating this yesterday and today, wondering what it is having come all the way from Orlando. Thank you very much. Pass our compliments to the President. And on behalf of your team, please sit.
Thank you very much. I'm not here to make a speech. We actually got invited to this conference. And first off, I would like to say that we do actually hold you in quite high regard. You can imagine that we actually flew, 21 hours to be here for an afternoon. The government sent us all the way here to actually spend time with you. We came, granted this is just the first conference, and you have rightly themed it, bridging the gap. There's a huge gap. We agree there's work that has to be done. And we're here today really to observe and to begin the process of working with you. That's our commitment. We would like you to continue engaging with us, with the Office of the President, with the Presidency as it now is termed. It's no longer just termed the Office of the President, it's the Presidency. It is an embodiment of an office. And we would like to walk this journey with you. Come next year, when you'll be having the next conference in May, we don't want to get there and still be saying, bridging the gap. We want to have moved a step towards bridging the gap. So thank you very much. We're glad to be here. We're glad to be amongst Kenyans. This is definitely feeling like home. We didn't feel like we, I mean, you can only imagine, we walked in, we were already talking Kiswahili with some people, so tuko nyumbani. Thank you very much.
Well, she's pretty much said everything. No, I'll just say you're really doing a good job. This is a huge step, and we'll support you when we can, and we'll be with you. Thank you.
We want to hear from the doctor.
I'm really like the worst in public speeches. See, I can't even say.
I can deal with people like one-on-one with my patient and everything, but when I see all these eyes looking at me, I really freak out. So, see, I can't even remember what I wanted to say. I just want to say thank you so much. I've learned so much in the really short time we've been here. I hope we will work together and we'll take the message back home. And I promise, for the people who have promised to give feedback, I will give feedback and we will work together. Thank you.
Thank you again. I'll take over my role as MC. Thank you very much. And the chairman will walk you back to your table.